this week's Parsha, we are introduced to one of the greatest people in world history, and that is Avraham Avinu, Abraham, our patriarch. Abraham is known as the person that was the first monotheist, the person that recognized God's existence in the world, and he educated, inspired, and taught other people about God and the world. Abraham himself did not have an easy life. He had personal challenges. He was childless for many years. He had to travel through different countries because of economic the recession or even depression in the land of Israel. He had to go to Egypt. And towards the end of his life, God appears to him and says, "Don't worry, Abraham. Don't worry, Abraham. You are going to have much reward." And Abraham turns to God and says, "But I'm going to die childless." And God promises him and says, "I want you to go outside." And he shows him outside. He says, "Look up at the stars." And he promises him that your descendants will be as numerous as the stars in the sky. And the Torah says that Abraham believed at that point that he was going to have children. And it was considered a great turning point in Abraham's life. But the difficulty we have with that is that earlier on in the Parsha, it says that Abraham was promised that he would have descendants. God promised him he will have descendants as numerous as the dust of the earth. So why was he skeptical about that promise that God made? Why was he second-guessing him? And now towards the end of his life, he said, "You would still not give me children." Didn't he not believe the earlier promise? And one of the great commentaries, the Or HaChaim, answers with the following approach. And he says, of course, Abraham believed that he would have children, he would have descendants. But he did not like the analogy that God made. God said, "Your descendants will be as numerous as the dust of the earth." He said, "The dust of the earth? That's the way my descendants, you're equating them to such an example? I'm not satisfied with that." So God says to Abraham, "Go outside and look at the stars, and your children will be as numerous as the stars." And Abraham was satisfied. But not just satisfied because they will be as numerous in the quantity, but rather just like the stars illuminate the universe, so too Abraham realized the blessing was that his descendants would illuminate the world. And that was the special promise to Abraham about the descendants that he would have. So, if we are descendants of Avraham Avinu, of Abraham, and we are the stars in this world, we have a responsibility to act in a certain manner. It's a great task that we have to project ourselves, to be moral, ethical, and responsible in this world. And how do we do that? Sometimes by just being role models and making sure our own lives have the proper ethics and morals in it. And when we act in a certain way, people will say, "These are Abraham's descendants. They are living up to his legacy. They are living up to the Torah that God left them with." Folks, throughout our day in our society, we have numerous opportunities to be that Or LaGoyim, to be the light unto the nations. Let us not take that too lightly. Let us embrace that opportunity. Let us seize the moment and project ourselves to be moral, ethical, and responsible people who will be a light unto the nations, just as our patriarch Abraham was. Have a wonderful Shabbos.